Today we're heading to Rutland, England, to the enchanting home of Katie Cardew. One day, while scrolling through properties, Katie stumbled upon the house where her father had once grown up, a discovery that felt like destiny.
About 5-10 minutes in, we were sort of then thinking, hang on a minute, this is actually a really cool project. And half an hour in, we were entirely hooked and we were like, we need this house.
From that moment, she and her family knew it was meant to be. What followed was an ambitious renovation, taken on as Katie retrained as an interior designer, breathing new life into a place steeped in memory.
Trying to always think about not just the very moment you finished it, but try and think about a year, 2 years, 5 years down the line and how that room's going to sort of bed in and last and still work and still be loved in years to come.
With children running through the gardens, horses and chickens wandering freely between the buildings, and original details lovingly restored, this is a home where history, heritage, and heart come together in the most magical way.
We filled it with quite a lot of animals, which was something I always wanted. I wanted my horses to be at home, which they are, and we've got cats and dogs and guinea fowl and chickens. So yeah, we've made it a home.
You're watching Homeworthy, where we believe every home has a story.
Hi Homeworthy, I'm Katie. Welcome to my home in Rutland. I'd love to show you around. Come on in. My name's Katie Cardew, I'm an interior designer and welcome to my home in Rutland, England. So we weren't looking to move house. We had just had a baby, we had a 5-year-old, and I was scrolling through Rightmove, which is the property website in the UK, and which I do because I love houses, and I saw this house and I recognised it, and I sent it to my dad and I said, Dad, is this the house you grew up in? And he said, yes, that's Preston House, that's the house I grew up in. And I said, that's mad, like it's on the market. It's not been on the market for, I think maybe like 50, 60 years. And I said, let's just go and have a look at it. Let's book in with the estate agent really cheekily, because obviously it's like a bit of a time waste. So me, my dad and my partner, we came and had a look at it, and just really to have like a look round and like see the house my dad and his brothers and my grandparents lived in the 60s. And Jamie and me started looking around quite skeptically. We were like, oh gosh, this is a big project. It hadn't been renovated in many, many years and needed a lot of work and care and attention. And he runs a building firm and I'm an interior designer. So quite quickly, about 5-10 minutes in, we were sort of then thinking, hang on a minute, this is actually a really cool project. And half an hour in, we were entirely hooked and we were like, we need this house, which was mad. Like we were in no position to move. So we put an offer in and that got rejected. And we kind of forgot about it. It wasn't supposed to be. And we got on with our lives. And about 6 months later, we got a phone call from the sellers saying, actually, we've had a bit of a tricky situation and we haven't managed to sell it, and would you like it? Your offer still stands. And we sort of just looked at each other and went, okay, yeah, let's do this. And it took us a long time to buy. It was a hefty process. And we still didn't know up until the day of getting the keys, we still didn't know whether we were going to get it or not. And we did, and we moved in. And then reality hit and it was winter, and we tried to renovate with children through a very cold winter in 2022, 2023. And we were all living, all 4 of us were sleeping in one bedroom in sort of camp beds. I was cooking for a family of 4 on like a camping stove. It was really, really hard, and we definitely questioned ourselves that winter quite heavily. But the kitchen got finished, and once you've got a kitchen, as everyone knows, that's sort of the heart and the home of the house, and we did the children's bedroom quite quickly after, and then suddenly everything started getting easier, and we haven't finished this house. We've got a long way to go still, but we've now got a sitting room, we've got a bathroom, we've got bedrooms, and we've got a kitchen. So yeah, whatever we do next will be lovely, but we've sorted the fundamentals. we filled it with quite a lot of animals, which was something I always wanted. I wanted my horses to be at home, which they are, and we've got cats and dogs and guinea fowl and chickens. So yeah, we've made it a home very quickly, but it wasn't without its struggles, that's for sure. Hi, so this is our boot room, and this is where we come and go, and there's some really cool bits in this room, but my favourite bit is this door, which sounds super boring, but my God, this door's got so much history. So the guy that helped us renovate this room and quite a lot of the house, he was a carpenter from Lincoln Cathedral. He helped do the renovations there, so he's very, very knowledgeable. And he helped us renovate this door, and he's dated it back to about the reign of Henry VIII, so about 1480, 1490. And the wood would have started its life in like the 1100s, so the 12th century, and it just blows my mind that this door is that old and still functions, and we've managed to renovate it and make it sort of work for us in a family home. But we do have to contend with having this as our house key. But yeah, I love this door. This room didn't have any storage in it when we moved in. We put in all of the joinery and made sure that everyone has, like all my kids have a cupboard, and we've got plenty of space to chuck all the crap that happens in day-to-day life. A lot of the things in here are found in the antiques fairs, all the rugs. This chair I found out in a stable block, and I restored it myself. The wallpaper I love, that's a Lucy Annabelle wallpaper, a really lovely British designer. And because the room's so sort of dark and small and the ceilings are quite low, I sort of lent into that. I think a lot of people, when you have got a small room, they tend to paint it white and try and make it look bigger. But my feeling is always if a room is sort of leaning one way or another, then lean into it even more. And if you've got low ceilings and you want to wallpaper it, then wallpaper the ceilings. And I love it in here. It feels really cozy. It always feels like a really nice sort of warm hug when I'm coming in. Whether it's, winter or summer. These drawings on the wall, my friend Calypso did. She's a really beautiful artist, and I had them commissioned of our children, and I love them, and I love that they're in here and I can see them every day. And there's another couple of cool things. I found this last year at an antiques fair in Newark, and it's an old croquet set. And I'll show you at some point, there's a photo of the house in the Victorian times with a family playing croquet on the lawns. And I really wanted to recreate that. So when I saw this, we had to have it. And we did a little reel on Instagram where we recreated the Victorian croquet setup. So that was quite fun. The flooring is not original, but I wanted it to have that sort of aged look. It's a new floor, but we stained it to look old. And like I was saying earlier, this room is definitely to be lived in, and I didn't want it to be precious at all. The dogs come in and out. We had the pony in here yesterday with my kid riding it. It's definitely a home, and although most of the items in this room aren't original, I wanted it to feel like it'd been here forever. Just feel like a sort of really welcoming space when you're coming in from a day at work. If you follow me, we're going to go to the kitchen. So this is our kitchen. This was the first room that we renovated back in the winter of 2022. And I love this space. I wanted to create a kitchen that again felt really homely. I wanted the kids to be able to do their homework while I was cooking. So there's some really cool original features in this room that we were keen to keep. So I love this old beam above the range cooker. This is an old meat hook. So in like the 1600s and 1700s, they would have hung the meat from there, which I think is just really cool. And there's a really old bread oven behind the range as well. So yeah, it's a kitchen that's got a lot of history, and I can feel that when I'm in here. I love it. I feel like there's been many family dramas and celebrations and chats, and I love that it's had like 400 years of people sitting around here. And now we're in here doing the same. I tried to bring in like old and new items. I think kitchens can very easily, a bit like bathrooms, become something where everything's brand new. all the joinery we had made. I designed the kitchen layout, so it's exactly how I wanted it. All the worktops are new and the lighting's new and the fittings and fixtures. So I really wanted to bring in some like old Characterful items. This sideboard was actually in the house when we moved in. And this mirror has a story. So my partner, when he got his first paycheck when he was 17, most 17-year-old boys might spend it on like their car or their girlfriend or whatever, but Jamie bought this mirror and it's followed us around from house to house. We have not broken it so far, and I love it. And I just went out to the antiques fairs, and over a period of about a year, I just sourced all the sort of bits you can see in this room. There's a few bits I really love, like I love all these copper pans. I love all the sort of chopping boards. And then I found this enormous chopping board, which has still got like the flour on it from someone making bread out in Italy, which I absolutely adore. So I love this dairy table. I knew we wanted something big in the kitchen to sit round and have friends and family over. But I didn't want something as modern as an island, and we didn't really need any more storage. This is called a dairy table, I think. So it's sort of a cross between an island and a table, and I absolutely love it. We eat every meal at this table. We never use the dining room, it's always in here. We went for real marble, which a lot of people get worried about, and even when we were buying it, the guy we were buying it off was like, "Are you sure you want real marble?" And actually, I absolutely love it. There's a few marks on it, but I think it just adds to like the patina of life. I love how cold it is. Like if I ever wanted to bake, which I don't because I'm rubbish at it, but if I ever did, it's really cold and lovely to like roll pastries out on apparently. And I love the marble, and I love all the sort of natural formations of the stone. So the wall colour is a little green colour. It's called invisible green. There's not much invisible about it. But I think it works really nicely in this room. It's not a bright room. It's a really old house, so we have to work with the brightness that we've got. And actually, a bit like the boot room, I wanted to lean into the coziness, and rather than paint it white and try and make it, feel bright and airy, because it's never going to. It's got 3 small windows and it's a big space. So instead, we've gone dark, and actually, I love how cozy it feels. And even in the summer when it's really hot outside, you come in here and it feels really like a nice cold cave almost. So no regrets about painting it dark. The flooring, I wanted it to feel like an original floor. It's not. It's from Sapietro, which is a really lovely UK flooring company. And again, we've marked it and we treat it, we've got animals in here, but I love the fact that it's this kitchen is quietly getting, the marks of day-to-day life. And I wanted it to feel like a home, and it definitely feels like a home that you can sort of use rather than worry about. These blinds, this fabric is from a lady called Jessica Osborne. I ordered all the fabric and had the blinds made, and then she actually popped by and she was like, "Oh, I live down the road," and I didn't know that. So Jessica Osborne's a really talented fabric designer, and she lives like 10 minutes down the road from us, which is kind of cool. The light fitting, so this is, I love the kitchen company Devol. We've got a showroom near here, which is beautiful. This light is a Devol made light, and is probably one of the most expensive light fittings in our house, but I think we're always trying to match sort of antique or found stuff on Facebook Marketplace with a few really nice items. And this was one of the things that we knew we wanted from the start, this light, and I love it. I love the light it gives off. It's really soft. So this is like a link room between the kitchen and the dining room, and as soon as I saw this space, I knew I wanted to make like a really cool gallery wall. We've got a really nice cupboard in here that's got a chair that I really love, and we lost the key and I will never be able to get it again. This is not the right key. So that chair will always be forever in there. But we've got some really cool pictures in here. My dad grew up in this house in the 60s, and then the house went to another family, but there's a really nice photo of my dad and his brothers standing on our front door steps, and I love that that's here. And there's a few of my grandparents sitting in the garden. I just wanted it to sort of be a space where people walk through to the dining room, but then stop and have a look at sort of the story of our lives, and just a really happy sort of small space. But I think you can do a lot with the smaller spaces. So the house was built in about 1640, so it's a really old property. So we had to be obviously quite careful with renovating it, and every room that we start uncovers a whole host of things that, you know, in a modern house you just don't have the same issues as a very old house like this. Every wall isn't flat, there's no ceilings that are proper, you know, it's old and there's a lot to consider. So one of our main priorities was warmth in this house. It's 400 years old, so there isn't any sort of you know, modern way of keeping it warm. So one of the first things we did, we put in log burners and chopped down some trees in our field and went back to sort of good old days and had a lot of fires burning all the time, and also just to try and like get the damp out of the house. But our first room that we did was the kitchen. We needed, everyone needs a kitchen, and we needed just a base where we could all sort of just live. And the children's bedroom, so we could sort of give the children somewhere to do their homework and obviously sleep and play. And once we'd had those two rooms sort of tucked under our belt, we were sort of flying in. But the kitchen was definitely a priority for us. And for me, it was getting animals. So one of the first things we did was I got the kids a pony, which is mad. But it meant that when we were sort of in a shit show in the house, me and the kids could go out and ride and sort of spend time outside, because we live in the middle of the countryside and it's very beautiful, and it's quite easy to get sort of wrapped up in a house renovation. But I've tried with like sort of pets and animals, we've tried to give the kids a bit more of a balance, rather than their whole world being mum and dad sort of renovating this old wreck of a house. So this will be our dining room, and I just wanted to show you, like, this is a proper like work in progress house. We haven't got the time or the budget to do it all at once, so we do it piecemeal. But yeah, we've got a few cool things in this room, and this will be a really beautiful space. I've got big ideas. So this is one of the my favorite things in this house. This is a really old table. I found it on eBay. A lady that was selling a pub was selling it, and I knew I had to have it. I hadn't even measured it up. We were actually on holiday at the time when I saw it on eBay, and I got a courier to go and collect it, and he came, and luckily it fitted. And Colin, the guy who helped renovate this house, he dated it for me, and actually it's bang on. It's about 1650, and the house was built in 1640. So it was just one of those really cool finds that I had no idea if it was going to be nice, how old it was, if it was going to fit, and it did. And I love, if you sort of look down the table, you can see divots in it, which is where people have been sitting over the years and putting their plates over and over again. And I just love like how many dinners and arguments and celebrations and the stories that have been told at this table. I just freaking love old stuff. We panelled this room because I wanted it to feel sort of really cozy and warm. We've got our curtains up, but then we kind of went back and redid the coving. So it needs redecorating really. The flooring's here, ready to go down. Went for like an oak parquet, which will look wicked. But yeah, this is a room that will probably be finished later this year. So this is our snug, or our sitting room. This is the room we finished most recently, and yeah, it was a proper labour of love, this room. I think we calculated that we did about 140 hours of paint stripping in here. There was about 8 layers of very old paint, ranging from blues to greens to whites to yellows in here, that we had to painstakingly strip off. At many points during that process, we thought maybe actually it'd be easier just to paint it. But I had this vision in my head that I wanted it to feel quite like an old sort of library with lots of exposed wood. And I had this really strong vision of what it was going to look like. And it was really hard work to get it to this point. But I love it in here. It feels so cozy. I love the fact that we've got this lovely sort of stained old wood in here. And then the ceilings we painted, going back to that idea I was talking about earlier of if a room is dark and cozy, then lean into it. people are often really worried about painting ceilings dark because they think it's going to make it feel really enclosed. But that's exactly what you want in a snug. I want it to feel like a hug. This is a similar colour that we've got in the kitchen, so just trying to bring some of the paints through the house. And then on the windows, I went for a gloss. I think gloss paint is highly underrated. I love gloss paint. It's really practical with kids. You can sort of touch it and it won't stain, but I also just really like the fact that you can have a gloss paint sitting next to a more matte paint, and it makes a wood or a whatever it is, a wardrobe or a window, look just a bit more interesting. So yeah, we redid all of the wiring in this room. We put in the new lighting, so we wanted it to feel like really soft and cozy. I had this sofa made. I've got a sofa maker that I work with in Nottingham. He's one of the last sort of original UK sofa makers. And I love it. It's like the sofa of my dreams, really feathery, really soft, like one of those sofas you sit in and you just never want to get out of. We put the wood burner in. That was been in for years now. We used to sit in this room when it was not renovated at all, and we used to huddle around this wood burner. And I used to have a think about the whole time, like, what did I want to do in here? What did I want to do in here? And yeah, now it's finished. I'm so happy with it. The carpet's really cool. So this is recycled plastic carpet from the Alternative Flooring Company. So you can wash it with like bleach, apparently, which again, for a house full of kids and animals is really super useful. This rug I found recently at an antiques fair. Again, it was one of those things, like I hadn't got the measurements of this room. I didn't know whether it was going to fit. And we got it back, and yeah, I love this rug. And again, it's old, so it's sort of unbreakable. This ottoman I designed from scratch. I always really wanted an unusually shaped ottoman, and I found this Andrew Martin fabric, and I've used a few of his fabrics throughout the house, and I love the fact that it's like a really thick woven fabric. And then obviously gone for a tassel, because who doesn't love a tassel? I love this window area. We ran out of budget for this room, and I had a photo shoot coming up. So my mum, we got these curtains from IKEA, and my mum, bless her, she completely chopped and changed them, and we got them to fit, and she's lined them. I think they work really nicely, but yeah, those are a pair of IKEA curtains. This window seat cushion is literally a piece of fabric over a piece of foam that I cut out myself. But I mean, yeah, in an ideal world, everything would be perfect and made and upholstered. But, you know, the realities are that things are expensive, and sometimes you've got to give and take with a room, and sometimes you just don't even notice. And I think people maybe overthink sometimes, and you can get away with a lot when I think you've got decent flooring, decent lighting, a decent sofa, and the rest maybe, you know, you can sometimes bodge a bit. So this mirror is really cool. I was walking past a charity shop in Uppingham recently, and I saw it and I just bought it. I had no idea where it was going to go. I even thought maybe I could give it to like my parents or something. And as we were renovating this room, there's a panel of wood behind this mirror that we just could not get it to stain properly. And I plonked that mirror there temporarily, and actually it's the perfect size. It was 30 quid, and yeah, again, I think it just shows that, you know, you don't have to spend, you know, the highest amount on every item in your room. You can definitely mix and match. Yeah, and I love it. So a lot of the artwork in here, and this rocking horse I picked up at the Newark Antiques Fair. It's such a good event. You've definitely got to have a bit of an eye and trawl through. There's always, like at these sort of car boot sales or these antiques fairs, there's always going to be bits that maybe you would never buy in a million years, and then you have to look through that and you have to find some of the treasures. But I always take the horse trailer and end up filling it for myself, and I buy for clients. This painting, the frame was from there, the rocking horse was from that antiques fair, this little side table was from there, and even things like the poofs was from there. So yeah, I'm a big advocate of going to the antiques fairs. It's also a really fun day out. I really want to go to the one in Lille. I've got plans to go there next September, but I think I'm going to have to take a pretty big van to that one. I am an illustrator by profession originally. So 13 years ago I set up an illustration business, doing homeware, so illustrated tableware and fine art prints and greetings cards and a whole range of items, and I worked commission. I illustrated people's homes and families and worked with other companies and did a lot of corporate illustrations and sort of built a business up from there over the since 2013. We had 3 of our own Katie Cardew stores across the UK and about 150 stockists. And we exhibited at lots of events and shows. And about 4 years ago, my business partner sort of took the reins on that business and I stepped back a bit. And I'd always wanted to be an interior designer. As a kid, I used to make rooms out of like little shoe boxes, and I've always loved the process of creating a really homely and cool space around me. So I retrained while we were renovating this house, which was quite hardcore, but did it and really enjoyed it. And obviously with this house, I could sort of let my creativity flow, and I haven't got anyone here that's going to say no. So I just used this house as a bit of a playground and started getting clients. And my partner runs a building firm, so together we've worked on a few projects where they're building the houses and I'm doing the interior design. And Rutland's a really cool county. There's a lot of sort of beautiful homes and creative-minded people, and I've been really lucky and I've been really busy since launching 3 years ago, and still really enjoying it to this day. There's definitely challenges in interior design, and you've just got to make sure that you get on with your clients and you find the right clients and keep really true to the style. I try and, I've got quite a strong sense of how I like to put a room together, and it's just trying to get across to clients that if you want this style of room, you've just got to put a bit of trust into the interior designer. But yeah, that's how. So my career was came at it from an illustration background and a retail background, and then I've sort of curved into the interior design. And but the retail and the illustration definitely gave me a really good standpoint. That I've always been super creative, and yeah, interior design is just another outlet for me to sort of channel that creativity. So this is our main bedroom. We renovated it pretty early on, just so we had somewhere to sleep that wasn't in a room with our children. I went for pink on the walls. This is a east-facing room, and this is called Jonquil by Edward Bulmer. I love Edward Bulmer's paints. They're all really lovely shades, and they're all natural as well. And because it's an east-facing room, we get beautiful sunrises over the field over there. And there's something about the pink with the sunrise. Every morning, it makes me so happy. And I think it really proves that pink doesn't have to feel super girly. I think particularly this shade just feels really warm and nice. And for a bedroom, I think you can't go far wrong with pink. I had this headboard made fairly recently. This is another Andrew Martin fabric. My upholsterers made it, and I went and picked it up in our horse trailer, and I had no help that weekend. I was on my own, and I had a photo shoot on Monday here, and I had to get this headboard from the horse trailer all the way up the stairs, and it's currently sitting on a pile of books, but no one knows. I'm just not going to tell anyone. This is one of my favourite pieces of art in this room. This is by my friend Calypso, who also did the drawings of the children downstairs in the boot room. I had it reframed, and yeah, I love it. I found this painting over here of the lady, which a few people that have come in here think it's really weird. I love it. I picked that up at the Newark Antiques Fair. These came from the Antiques Fair as well. They're from an organ, and we use them as bedside tables. They're not particularly practical because there's no storage in them, but I really like the way they look. So this room we had to fully renovate. It had a sink here from yesteryears where sinks were popular in bedrooms, and I didn't hate the sink, but it had to go. It was very, very old. So yeah, this was a big project to get it looking like this. This wardrobe, my mum's friend was selling it, and it was about 50 quid. And yeah, we went and got it, and we had to get it up the stairs, and that was an absolute nightmare. But it saved me having to go to John Lewis, and as I said before, I'm a massive advocate of trying to mix and match new and old items in a room. This fabric is from a UK fabric designer called Susan Dillis. And I love it. And I love green and pink together. I think it's a real fail-safe colour scheme. These lampshades are by another UK designer, Alice Palmer. Really sweet, really pretty. And I love a geranium, so you'll see many geraniums around this house. So this is my children's bedroom. At the moment, they're happy to share, and this bedroom does not look like this 99% of the time. But yeah, again, I really wanted to create a really child-like, friendly, happy, cozy space for them. I remember my bedroom as a child growing up, and it was always such an important space for me. I've always loved like my surroundings, and I just, wanted to give them somewhere that, you know, when we're renovating the rest of the house, they could escape to and do their like drawings at the desk and play on the floor and make a mess. And again, not have to worry too much about the carpets or, you know, all of the items in here. Most of them are old anyway, so there's little they can do to it. The one big splurge in this room was definitely the curtains. This is an Alice G fabric, and I had my seamstress make these, and this really cute palmet that I love. I love like a scallop shape in a kid's room. I think it's really whimsical. And then we had some matching bedside lamps made out of the same fabric, and some cushions as well. These beds, they're not matching, and I was slightly worried about that when we first did the room, but actually I love the fact they don't match, and the children love them as well. This is such a cute bed for a toddler or a young child. It's got the sides, and yeah, I managed to find this on eBay actually. Ditto this really cute wardrobe. A lady was selling this on eBay. I didn't measure it, I just bought it. We went and collected it, and my God, that was a pain in the ass to put up. We had to completely, I say we, my partner had to completely dismantle it to get it up the stairs and then re-put it together. And anyone that's tried to put together a sort of a 150-year-old wardrobe can imagine how hard that was. But yeah, I really like it. Luckily it fitted, and luckily it looks cool. So again, this room we had to completely take back to square one. My dad remembers being in this room as a child, and there was a bed here, and he was lying underneath it, him or his brother, I can't remember which, and one of them set fire to the mattress, and they had to call the fire brigade, and my dad remembers running to our next door neighbour's house, and they had to call the fire brigade, and the fire brigade came over and put the fire out. So my dad's got quite funny memories of this room, but yeah, it was a complete gut job. I always knew I wanted to do paneling in the kids' room, and I know it sounds a bit extra, but I think it just adds so much to the room, and it means we haven't had to put so much artwork up because the paneling does so much sort of that character building. The colours I get asked about a lot in this room. The paneling is Denimes by Farrow & Ball. The wall colour is called Light Blue by Farrow & Ball. And then I found this really cute trim, a lady called Camilla Hampton. She's another UK designer. She makes all these beautiful trims. And I, just on a whim really kind of bought some and thought it would look quite cool around the room. And actually for me, it's one of like the best things about this room. I think it adds so much character. And the kids love it as well. They think it looks a bit like a circus in here, which is really cute. Again, like we didn't have a huge budget when it came to finishing this room, so we had a piece of MDF lying around the house, and I painted this for the kids, and actually, I think it works really nicely. And I painted them some paintings to go above their beds, which are really, super cute. And again, the kids love these, and hopefully they'll have these for a while, and they can, remember this cute bedroom when they're teenagers and grunting at me. This rocking horse is cute. This came from my parents' house, and I borrowed it about 2 years ago for to finish this room off for a photo shoot, and I've never given it back, and they haven't asked for it back. So the rocking horse is staying. And this little chair, this was my partner's grandmother's chair, and we had it reupholstered. And again, I like to bring in where I can, some sort of older items, and if there's anything that needs restoring or recovering, I'd rather do that than go out and buy a new item. I think it's got a lot more history, and it adds a lot more character to the room and ultimately to the house. So my style has always been quite, not eclectic, but I'm a big fan of sort of bringing old and new together. Even in like modern homes, I think it's really nice so I go out to a lot of antiques fairs and I'll trawl eBay and even Facebook Marketplace and sort of the antique shops around here, and always trying to bring in some new items into a room. Every room needs, really decent carpets or flooring, really decent lighting, but then trying to offset the newness of a room with, it could be anything, a really lovely framed painting or an old sideboard or a really nice old sort of lampshade. And doing this house up has definitely made me realise maybe more the importance of that, because this house has got such a long heritage, and to gut this place and fill it with brand new sort of big box items would have been really wrong, I think, and not sat well in the house. So I've had to really hone my skills in buying antiques, and also we don't have the budget. Like we're renovating a house, we've got kids, and it's really expensive doing up a house, and even just decorating it, it's really expensive. So going out to the antiques fairs and the charity shops even, I mean the mirror I've got on the wall here, that was 30 quid from a charity shop in the town next to us. And yeah, some of it's necessity because we haven't got the budget, but I think in the end the room looks better for having a mix of old and new, and definitely try and do that for my clients as well. And it just creates a lot, the spaces are much more characterful for it, and often the furniture is better made. If that wardrobe has been around for 100 years, it's probably going to be around for another 100 years. Whereas, I mean, there is a time and a space for IKEA stuff, and obviously, but I think the go-to and especially thinking like environmentally as well, I'm a big advocate that the go-to should be have a look and see if you can find something secondhand or antique or vintage, and it doesn't necessarily mean that it's more expensive. It just often means that it's better made and it's going to look better in the room, and it's going to pull a lot more character than something that you've ordered online and got delivered in a big box and you've had to assemble and wanted to sort of poke yourself in the eye with the screwdriver while you're doing it. So this is our bathroom. It's a bit like Marmite. Some people love it and some people it's a bit too much for them. I love bathrooms that don't feel too bathroomy. I think a bit like kitchens, you can get into a bit of a hole where everything's brand new and gleaming and shining, and I think there is definitely a place for that, and I know it makes some people happy, but for me, I love a characterful bathroom. But actually, we had to gut this room. It hadn't been renovated for a long time. It was carpeted. We had an avocado suite in here. So yeah, it was another gut job, but I wanted to build it back up and give it the character. This bath was a bit of a labour of love, so I designed it, and my partner is a trained carpenter. So yeah, I gave him the designs and he looked at them and he said, "I'm not doing that. That sounds like a bloody nightmare." And I said, "Please," and he said, "No," and I said, "Please," and he said, "Okay, I'll give it a go." So there was many weekends where he was locked away in the workshop making this, but both of us love it now, and the kids love it. It's really good for putting a glass of wine, having snacks on the side. It's actually a piece of, it's an old piece of mahogany that's been sanded and then polished, and it's got boat varnish on it, so it's quite practical as well. This wallpaper is, when I first started training as an interior designer, I went to Decorex in London, and I walked straight in, and the first stand I went to was a concrete producer, but they had this sample of wallpaper and they produced like 3 wallpapers. It was really random, and I picked up a sample and I knew I wanted to use it in this house. I love it. So 2 years later, when we started renovating this house, I found this sample in my studio, and I basically built the whole room around this little sample that in the end we had to get from Holland, and it was a bit of a nightmare. We had to pay shipping on it and the taxes it came in, but yeah, I love it. And actually, people again shy away from using a wallpaper in a bathroom, but as long as you seal it properly, there is absolutely no problem with it. This is my favourite piece of artwork in the whole house. It's by an artist that I love called Sammy Little. It was definitely like an early birthday present from me to me. But I look at it every day. It's the screensaver on my phone. There's something about her, and I love a cowboy hat. And yeah, I just think it looks wicked in here. And I freaking love a bath, so I sit in here, have a glass of wine, and yeah, my evenings are happy in this bathroom. I think like window dressings you can have loads of fun with, and like in the kids' room with this scallop pelmet, I always try and do something cool with the window dressings rather than just going for like a plain old fabric. So when I told my seamstress I wanted like a zigzag, again, she was like, "Are you sure?" I said, "Yes." She said, "Are you sure?" And I said, "Yes, I really want that." So anyway, it was a first for her, but I love it, and I love the way that the sort of zigzag pattern is reflected in the wallpaper, and then again reflected in her jacket. And I tried to get that shape of the girl's hat into the bathtub. So yeah, this room was sort of really... of all the rooms in the house, this was the most designed room. There was a lot of thought that went into it. We had all this cabinetry made, which is super important for a sort of, a family. Super practical, loads of storage, loads of places to hide away all my crap. So actually the bathroom still looks quite nice. I love a rug in a bathroom. These are recycled plastic rugs from a lovely company called Bombay Sprout. So you can get them wet, the kids can get out the bath on them. Yeah, all about like mixing cool stuff, but making sure that it's practical and lasts, because there's nothing worse than a room 2 or 3 years down the line looking old and having to be redone. Such a waste of money and such a waste of energy. Also, I love a wooden floor in a bathroom. Again, quite unconventional. But as long as you treat it and you get it waterproof, then there is absolutely no problem in doing a wooden floor in a bathroom. And actually, I think it can be a lot cozier than tiles sometimes. So this is my studio. This is where I spend a lot of my time designing for clients, sitting at my desk. This room, when we moved into the house, the lady that lived here, she used to grow all her plants in here. It was like a potting shed almost. And then when we were renovating the kitchen, this was our kitchen. And we had temporary worktops. I had a camping stove in here. It was absolutely freezing. We had mice everywhere. It was an absolute nightmare. So when we moved into the kitchen, it was just a really lovely, obvious place to have a studio. I've got views out onto the garden. I can keep an eye on the kids. We didn't do a huge amount in here. The flooring is original. We cleaned it up and gave it some treatment to sort of bring out the colour. The walls, we could have, gone further and boxed stuff in, but we didn't. It's a studio and I work in here. It doesn't need to be pristine. But I always knew I wanted to have this colour on the walls. It's called Sang de Boeuf by Edward Bulmer. Again, I really love his paints. And again, painted the ceiling. When you've got a room with not super high ceilings and you kind of want it to feel cosy, paint the ceiling. People always forget about the ceiling and they paint it white, and actually it's usually the biggest sort of space in the room. So yeah, I really enjoy working in here. I had some really nice blinds made up in a GP&J Baker fabric. Always wanted to use this fabric for years, and actually works really nicely with the wall colour. This used to be the entrance to the house, the back door, and it was this colour when we moved in. And actually, I love this colour. In the old years gone by, people were actually quite bold with colours. We've definitely gone back to more muted tones, or a trend towards more muted tones. But yeah, this was an original sort of door, and the colour would have been this, and I think it works really nicely with the orange. So I had it colour matched, and I had some cabinetry made for all of my samples, and did it in the same blue. And yeah, it's just a really nice, warm and welcoming space, and few pieces of artwork. I bought these cowboy boots in Nashville a couple of years ago, and they became my logo, and then I did a painting of them. So that's hence why the cowboy boot. This is a really cute painting over here. This is by my friend Jenny Murphy. This is an original by her, and again, just makes me really happy. I think people spend, you spend so long in offices and they can be so soulless. But when you're spending 6, 7, 8 hours a day in a place, I want it to feel really nice and warm. And yeah, it's another space that I don't have to worry too much about ruining. It's pretty bomb-proof, this space. So with any home I'm designing, in the back of my head constantly is I want this to feel like their home. I want this to feel like you can sit down and have a drink and put your drink down and not feel like worried that something's going to spill, or take your shoes off. And I want the kids to be able to play. And I think a lot of houses that you go to sometimes that have got a very, very high-end finish are beautiful and lovely, but I think for me, I feel like they're a bit too finished, and it kind of, you don't feel like you can live in it properly. And for me, in this house and the houses that I design, I want people to feel like they can properly live in that space and not feel worried that it's, immediately going to get damaged. And I think there's some really clever ways of doing that. And I think I'm a big advocate for built-in storage and making sure that every room has enough storage for the stuff you want in there. I think, especially if you've got kids, I think a lot of people just, when they're renovating, think, well, we're just not going to have the toys out. We won't have that many toys, or we won't. But it happens, and we collect stuff, and as long as you've got the storage to put that stuff away and everything can be sort of orderly, then you're setting yourself up for having, a much more harmonious space. I think fabrics are really important. I think not picking whites and creams every time. I'm a big colour fan, and actually that works really well to create a family home, just from a practical side as well. Like, for example, this sofa is, I had it made and then I had it covered in this coating that is kid and dog and life resistant, and it means that we can just live on it and not have to worry too much. So yeah, definitely my favourite thing about this home is the fact that I don't feel super precious about it. My kids can have their friends over and they can make a mess, and I know that I can clear it up at the end of the day. And I try and apply that to clients' houses as well, because there is nothing worse than spending a fortune on a room and then a year later it looking awful because it's stained and the client's unhappy. So yeah, trying to always think about not just the very moment you've finished it, but try and think about a year, 2 years, 5 years down the line, and how that room's going to sort of bed in and last and still work and still be loved in years to come. Homeworthy, it was so fun showing you around my home in Rutland, but you've got to go now and I've got to go and put the dinner on. So thank you and see you soon.
Thanks for watching. Be sure to go to homeworthy.com for exclusive content, shopping guides, and so much more.